The Erebos sector was silent. Too silent. For centuries, the Zerath Dominion had ruled this corner of space without challenge. Entire star systems fell under their control, and planets that resisted were reduced to ashes. Commander Rakal, one of the Dominion's most respected war leaders, floated in the bridge of his flagship, the Vorath's Wrath, studying the view through the massive observation windows. Stars blinked in the distance, but something about the sector felt wrong. "Commander," said Lieutenant Vorik, Rakal's second-in-command, his claws tapping nervously on the console. "We've arrived at the coordinates of the reported disturbance. Sensors detect wreckage but no life signs." "No transmissions," Rakal frowned. His eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned the flickering holographic display. The debris was scattered over a region nearly 10,000 kilometers wide, but it did not match any known species. There were no Zerath ships among the wrecks, nor any of the common mercenary fleets that sometimes roamed the outer sectors. "Bring the scans closer," Rakal ordered. The holographic map zoomed in, revealing intricate shapes and unfamiliar alloys. One piece of metal shimmered under the ship's scanning rays. Engraved on its hull were letters the analysts could not identify. UNS Vorik's claws hovered above the console. I don't recognize this material, Commander. Its density is far greater than our own armor, and its energy signature is strange, almost organic in nature." Rakal's eyes narrowed. "Organic? Not living," Vorik replied, "but adaptive. It reacts to energy and pressure in ways I've never seen." The silence of the sector pressed against them, broken only by the quiet hum of the flagship's engines. Even the usual chatter of sensors and monitoring systems felt muted. It was as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Suddenly, an alert flashed on the main console. "Commander, we're detecting an incoming vessel. Long-range sensors cannot identify it. Its speed. It's impossible." Rakal leaned forward. "Impossible?" "Yes, Commander. It emerged from outside the system, faster than any warp field should allow. Its energy signature is unique, unmatched in the Dominion's records." A chill seemed to pass over the bridge. The Zerath were fearless conquerors, but something about this reading unsettled even them. The stars ahead shimmered and warped, like water rippling over stone. The incoming vessel appeared suddenly, a sleek and massive silhouette against the void. It was angular, its hull gleaming with an unfamiliar sheen that seemed to absorb and reflect light at the same time. "Identify yourself," Rakal barked, using the Dominion's standard universal comm frequency. His voice was steady, but his claws tightened on the railing. A calm, measured voice replied, cutting across the comm lines like a knife through metal. "This is Captain Adrian Holt of the United Nations Starfleet. Identify yourself or be considered hostile." The Zerath officers froze. Their translators processed the words slowly, struggling to assign meaning. Humans. The Dominion had heard stories of ancient species long lost to history, but none had returned. None had returned with a ship like this. Rakal motioned for the bridge's tactical officers to raise the defensive shields. All ships powered to battle stations, prepared to engage if necessary. This may be a trap. The human ship drifted closer, calm and precise. Its presence was unlike any warship the Zerath had encountered. There was no threatening movement, no aggressive maneuvers. Yet the sheer size and the way the hull absorbed the light made every alien present feel small and fragile. "Commander," Vorik whispered, "its sensors are scanning us. Our communications are being monitored. Whatever it is, it sees everything." Rakal's eyes narrowed. "Prepare countermeasures. I want our shields calibrated against adaptive scans. Do not underestimate it. Whatever this vessel is, it is unlike anything we have faced before." The bridge remained tense. Outside, the stars continued to stretch and bend as if reality itself acknowledged the arrival of the human warship. For the first time in generations, the Zerath felt something foreign, a prickle of fear. The humans made no immediate move to attack. They simply hovered in the void, silent but unmistakably aware. Then the voice of Captain Holt echoed again, calm and precise. "We do not seek conflict. We are observing. Any hostile action will be met with response." Rakal's claws itched with frustration. He was a commander trained to strike first, to destroy threats before they could endanger his fleet. Yet there was something about this human, or this vessel, that made him hesitate. The air, heavy with tension, felt charged with energy that no weapon could touch. Minutes passed like hours. Then a plasma bolt shot across the void from the Vorath's wrath. It was meant as a warning shot, a display of the Dominion's power. But when the beam struck the human vessel, it did not explode, it did not falter. It simply passed through the hull as if meeting a force it could not comprehend. The bridge went silent. Impossible, one officer murmured. Rakal's jaw tightened. Raise all shields. Alert the fleet. This is not a normal engagement. Captain Holt's voice spoke again, calm and measured. Your weapons cannot harm us. Stand down and there will be no conflict. Any act of aggression will be met with force proportional to the threat. The Nemesis, that was the name the sensors revealed, remained poised and silent. Its presence alone radiated confidence and control. Every movement it made was deliberate, every sensor sweep efficient. The Zerath could not detect emotion, but even they felt it. Calm, unwavering confidence. Rakal struggled to maintain his composure. Lieutenant, assess their speed, their firepower, their shields. We must understand them before they understand us completely. Vorek's claws danced over the console, scanning data streams. Commander, our sensors cannot fully read them. Every attempt to measure the Nemesis only results in more unknown variables. It adapts to our readings. It is learning from us. A low murmur ran across the bridge. Learning? Yes, Vorek said, voice tense. Their technology evolves as it interacts with ours. We cannot anticipate its next move. Rakal looked out at the human vessel. The stars reflected across its hull like a calm sea. There was no haste, no aggression, only a quiet, unshakable presence. In that moment, he realized that the humans were unlike any species the Dominion had encountered. They were clever, adaptive, and utterly fearless. The Zerath fleet trembled under the pressure of uncertainty. Rakal's claws gripped the railing as he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. So this is what the humans have become. And as the human warship drifted closer, the silent battlefield of the Erebos sector became the stage for a new chapter in galactic history, one that no species would forget. The Zerath Dominion, so long unchallenged, had met a force that was patient, calm, and terrifying in its quiet power. Across the void, the Nemesis waited, watching, calculating, and silently declaring humanity has returned. For the first time, the galaxy realized that a warship alone could carry the weight of a species' legacy, and the story of the Nemesis, the human warship that none could predict, none could destroy, had only just begun. The Nemesis drifted silently through the Erebos sector, its enormous hull reflecting the distant stars. Unlike the Zerath fleet, which buzzed with tension and fear, the human warship moved with calm authority. Inside the ship, Captain Adrian Holt watched the alien formation on her tactical display. Hundreds of enemy vessels spread across the void, scanned desperately, trying to understand the human presence they had just encountered. Holt leaned back in her chair, her eyes steady and clear. This is what they call fear, she murmured to herself. And we are merely a warning. Her crew worked in quiet efficiency, running diagnostics and monitoring the alien movements. Every system on the Nemesis was designed not just for war but for intelligence, adaptation, and precise response. It was humanity's most advanced warship, built to survive the unknown reaches of space and to protect Earth's interests in an expanding galaxy. Yet today it served a different purpose, to show the Zerath what they had forgotten, that humans were not to be underestimated. Commander Rakal watched from the bridge of the Vorath's wrath as his fleet trembled under the unseen presence of the Nemesis. For the first time in his life, he felt a hesitation he could not shake. His officers whispered among themselves, scanning their consoles frantically. Every energy reading, every shield fluctuation, every sensor output told the same story. The humans were far beyond anything the Zerath had expected. "Commander," said Vorek, his voice tight, "their passive scans are overwhelming our sensors. They know our positions, our weapon strengths, even our shield thresholds. It's unnerving." Rakal took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. "Keep calm. Do not show weakness. Initiate evasive maneuvers and prepare to respond if necessary. But we must understand them first." Across the void, the Nemesis's sensors swept over the alien ships with deliberate precision. Holt's voice, calm and clear, echoed in the comm channels. "Zerath Dominion, you are entering a region under observation. Any aggressive action will be met with proportional response. Stand down and avoid unnecessary conflict." The Zerath hesitated. Their pride demanded action, yet instinct warned against it. For centuries, the Dominion had been unstoppable. No fleet had ever bested them. And now they were faced with a species that moved calmly, confidently, and with unmatched precision. Raquel's claws tapped on the railing. It is adapting. Their shields adjust to our energy readings instantly. Every move we make, they counter. How is this possible? 4X claws hovered above the console. Commander, I think they are not just observing. They are learning from us. Every test we conduct, every calculation we make, they store and improve. This is beyond anything we have faced. Raquel's eyes narrowed. He had conquered countless systems, outmaneuvered thousands of enemies, and commanded fleets in battles that had shaken entire sectors. But this human vessel was unlike any challenge he had faced. It was intelligent, adaptive, and patient. Qualities the Zerath respected but rarely encountered. Holt watched the data streams on her tactical display. She did not panic. She had trained for this moment, for situations where humanity might confront species far more numerous and aggressive. The Nemesis had one goal: to show the galaxy that humans had returned and that they were not to be underestimated. A warning light flashed on Raquel's console. One of his cruisers, attempting a cautious approach, fired a plasma torpedo. It streaked across space, blazing blue and white. The Nemesis did not dodge. Instead, the torpedo passed through its hull as though meeting a layer of energy that existed beyond comprehension. The bridge went silent. Impossible, one officer whispered. Raquel's voice cut through the silence. Raise shields. Prepare to respond. Holt's voice remained calm, even serene. Your weapons cannot harm us. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Stand down. The Zerath fleet hesitated, caught between fear and pride. Many ships pulled back slightly, unsure if this was a trap, a new kind of weapon, or something far older and more powerful than they imagined. Holt turned to her crew. Scan patterns indicate high aggression probability in multiple sectors. Maintain non-lethal readiness. We are observers, but we will not be ignored if provoked. Lieutenant Samir Klein, her communications officer, glanced nervously at the screens. Captain, they're recalibrating shields. Their energy readings are changing rapidly, adapting to our passive scans. If we stay in this sector, they'll figure out everything about our ship in minutes. Holt nodded. Let them. Knowledge is harmless without action. We do not seek war, but we will respond decisively if threatened. Meanwhile, Raquel struggled to regain control. Form up, we attack in formation. We overwhelm it with numbers. The alien fleet surged forward. Plasma torpedoes streaking through space, beams of energy lighting up the void. But the Nemesis did not panic. It activated its adaptive shields, a technology centuries ahead of the Dominion's best. Every attack met resistance, absorbed or redirected with mathematical precision. One by one, the alien weapons failed to penetrate the human defenses. Confusion spread across the Zerath bridges. No fleet, no matter how numerous, had ever failed to overwhelm lesser forces. Yet here, in the dark space of the Arivos sector, hundreds of ships found themselves impotent against a single vessel. Raquel roared in frustration. Fall back, fall back. We will regroup and strike again. But even retreat was difficult. The Nemesis's sensors mapped every possible path. Every course correction the Zerath tried was anticipated, countered, or blocked. Fear spread among the alien crews. Even the bravest officers whispered rumors of a mythical species, long thought extinct, that had returned to enforce a new order in the galaxy. Holt spoke quietly to her crew, her voice steady over the intercom. They fear us because they do not understand us. We are human. They are not. Let them see who we are and let them learn restraint. On the bridge of the Vorath's wrath, Raquel realized something chilling. This was no ordinary human vessel. It was ancient, precise, and calculating. Every movement was deliberate, every scan intentional. And it did not panic. Even now, with hundreds of torpedoes aimed at it, the ship remained calm. Vorik's voice trembled. Commander, their presence alone is enough to dominate the battlefield. I do not see a weapon. I see control. They do not need to fire to defeat us. Raquel's mind raced. The Zerath had conquered countless species, yet the humans were different. They combined intelligence, patience, and adaptability in a way the Dominion could not predict. Every historical strategy, every ancient tactic failed against this single ship. Holt's calm voice echoed through the comm again. "Zerath Dominion, you have been warned. Humanity has returned to the stars. We do not seek war, but we will defend peace. Do not test us unnecessarily." Rakal's claws clenched on the railing. Pride, fear, and frustration battled within him. "We will regroup," he muttered. "We will understand them. And we will not forget this humiliation." Yet even as he spoke, he knew the truth. This human vessel had changed everything. For the first time, the Zerath felt that their empire, so vast and feared, might not be untouchable. They were facing a force that demanded respect, a force that would challenge the very idea of domination. The Nemesis, calm and unshakable, drifted through the stars. It did not chase the alien fleet. It did not fire upon them. It merely watched, calculated, and waited, sending a clear message. Humanity is back, and we are not to be underestimated. And across the Erevo sector, in the cold silence of space, a new chapter began, one in which humans had become the galaxy's quiet, unyielding warning. The Zerath Dominion had met its first true equal, and humanity, calm yet resolute, had shown that even a single warship could carry the weight of an entire species. The galaxy would never forget the day the Nemesis arrived. The silence after the warning hung heavy across the stars. The Nemesis drifted, calm and unmoving, its dark hull reflecting the faint light of distant suns. On every Zerath ship, fear and confusion battled against pride and anger. No one in the Dominion had ever seen such power before. Commander Rakal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Vorath's Wrath, his golden eyes locked on the massive human vessel. Around him, his officers moved nervously, whispering about what they had witnessed. "Commander," said Vorak, his voice low and uneasy, "our scans are clear. The human ship is stationary. It has not fired. It's not even using full shields. It is waiting." Rakal's claws tightened around the railing. Waiting for what? A surrender? His voice was sharp, but his heart pounded in his chest. "No being makes a mockery of the Zerath Dominion. Prepare the fleet. We strike now." Across the fleet, hundreds of ships received the command. Engines flared to life, plasma cannons charged, and torpedo bays opened. The black emptiness of space began to glow with the light of gathering firepower. Rakal watched as his fleet aligned into formation. "Fire on my mark," he said. Inside the Nemesis, Captain Adrienne Holt stood in silence. Her eyes followed the tactical display as hundreds of red markers surrounded her ship. Her crew waited for orders, their hands hovering over control panels. Lieutenant Samir Klein broke the silence. "Captain, they are powering weapons. Every ship in their fleet is charging for a full strike." Holt nodded calmly. "Raise adaptive shields. Prepare countermeasures. Let them make their move." Klein hesitated. "Ma'am, there are more than 400 warships out there. We can't take that kind of—" Holt's calm voice cut through his words. "We can." Outside, the stars flared bright as the Zerath unleashed their fury. Hundreds of plasma bolts and torpedoes raced through the void, their energy lighting up the darkness like a newborn star. The attack lasted for long, endless seconds. Every weapon the Zerath had was thrown at the Nemesis. When the light finally faded, the human warship still floated, untouched. On the Vorath's Wrath, silence filled the bridge. Rakal's eyes widened in disbelief. What just happened?" Vorak checked the sensors twice, then again. "Commander, their shields adapted to every frequency. Our weapons had no effect. It's like firing light into a mirror." Rakal slammed a clawed hand on the console. "Impossible. Nothing can withstand a full Dominion barrage." But the impossible was before him. The Nemesis didn't move. It didn't flee. It just waited. Inside, Captain Holt gave her first real command. "Return fire. Minimum force." The bridge lights dimmed. The massive ship hummed softly as energy flowed through its systems. The forward rail cannon rotated slowly, aiming toward the largest enemy cruiser. A single slug loaded into the barrel. "Target locked," said Ensign Mira Lee. "Ready to fire." "Fire!" A flash of light burst from the front of the Nemesis. The slug, a dense, magnetically accelerated projectile, traveled faster than any visible light could trace. It passed through 3 Dominion ships in a straight line before disappearing into the black. For a moment, nothing happened. Then all 3 ships exploded silently, their hulls folding inward before bursting apart. The bridge of the Vorath's Wrath erupted in alarm. "3 ships destroyed in one shot," shouted an officer. Their weapon, it's not energy-based. We can't block it. Rakal's chest felt tight. Impossible, he whispered again. What are these humans? On the Nemesis, Holt watched the explosions with steady eyes. They'll learn restraint, she said softly. But the Zerath were not known for restraint. Panic spread across their communication channels. The human ship destroyed our cruisers in one hit. Fall back, Rakal roared over the comms. No retreat. Regroup and attack from all sides. Overwhelm them! The Zerath ships formed a massive circle around the Nemesis, firing in synchronized bursts. Plasma beams crisscrossed the void, exploding against the Nemesis's shields in waves of light. But the Nemesis responded with perfect precision. Its point defense systems glowed blue, intercepting torpedoes mid-flight. Rail slugs zipped through the black, striking enemy ships with impossible accuracy. Each shot the Nemesis fired destroyed a ship. Every maneuver was flawless. Every defense perfect. Still, Captain Holt did not look proud. Her expression was cold, calm, almost sorrowful. They don't understand yet, she said. They see strength, not intention. They think power means conquest, but we didn't come here to conquer. Lieutenant Klein looked at her. Then why are we here, Captain? To remind the galaxy, Holt replied quietly, that humanity doesn't start wars, but we always finish them. Back on the Vorath's wrath, the chaos continued. Ships were being lost faster than Rakal could give orders. The sensors filled with static and interference. Every attempt to coordinate failed. The Zerath had never fought an enemy like this, one who seemed to know their every move before they made it. Vorak shouted over the noise. Commander, the human vessel is disrupting our targeting systems. It's feeding us false data. What? Rakal growled. They're hacking our systems through our own communication channels. Before Rakal could respond, the entire fleet's network went dark. One by one, Dominion ships lost power. Their engines flickered, their weapons shut down, their systems rebooted. The entire formation fell into confusion. The Nemesis moved forward slowly, deliberately. Its engines glowed softly, lighting the dark with a blue halo. Holt's voice carried across every frequency, calm and commanding. Zerath Dominion, your aggression has been noted. You are in violation of interstellar peace accords. Cease your attacks immediately or be disabled. Her words echoed across the alien ships. Some captains froze. Others refused to believe a single vessel could speak with such authority. Rakal's pride burned hotter than his fear. We will not bow to this ghost ship. All remaining ships focus fire on their engines. The Zerath unleashed their last desperate barrage, but Holt had already anticipated it. Activate mirror shields, she said softly. A shimmer of blue light spread across the Nemesis. The incoming energy beams struck the shields and reflected back, straight toward the ships that had fired them. The resulting explosions filled the black sky with bursts of orange and white. The Zerath fleet was broken. Dozens of ships destroyed. The survivors scattered in every direction, their once mighty formation reduced to chaos. Rakal stared at the screen, speechless. His heart sank as the truth settled in. The humans were not invaders. They were guardians, and they were unstoppable. On the Nemesis, the bridge lights dimmed again as the ship powered down its weapons. The battle was over. Report, Holt said quietly. Minimal damage, replied Klein. Shields holding at 98%. All enemy ships retreating. They're transmitting distress signals. Holt stood from her chair and looked out the viewing window at the scattered debris. Her voice was soft, but it carried a weight that filled the bridge. We gave them a chance to stand down. Let this be their lesson. We didn't come to destroy them, only to remind them. Lieutenant Lee turned to her. Remind them of what, Captain? Holt smiled faintly. That humanity still remembers how to fight, and how to stop. As the Nemesis glided through the aftermath, its shadow passing over the broken Zerath ships, a message spread across every communication channel in the sector. To all forces, the United Nations Starfleet does not seek war. But if war finds us, we will answer. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's most feared empire had been defeated not through destruction, but through precision, patience, and discipline. The Nemesis continued its silent journey, leaving behind a trail of awe and fear, and throughout the Dominion stories began to spread. Of the human warship that no weapon could touch, no fleet could outmatch, and no commander could outthink. The Zerath Dominion, once the terror of the stars, had just met its first defeat, and the name of that defeat would echo forever. The Nemesis. The alien fleet floated in the void, scarred and broken. Dozens of ships drifted silently, their once glorious hulls now glowing with fire and smoke. The battle from the previous day had ended, but the fear remained. The name Invictus now carried a meaning none of them wanted to remember. In the command center of the alien flagship Valtor, Admiral Kalor stood with his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display. His claws tapped nervously on the control console. "Status of the fleet?" he asked in a low, trembling voice. "Only 40% operational, Admiral," replied his second-in-command. "Shields on several cruisers are offline. Our weapon systems are damaged beyond repair." Kalor's throat tightened. "And the human ship?" "Still moving, sir," the officer said. "Slowly. But it is still coming toward us." Kalor could not understand it. The human ship had suffered too. The Invictus had been hit by plasma rounds, its armor cracked, its engines leaking radiation. Yet it kept advancing, silent, unstoppable, and full of fury. It was as if the humans didn't understand fear. Inside the Invictus, Captain Elena Torres stood in front of the main window, watching the endless stars. Her face was pale and tired, but her eyes were burning with purpose. Around her, the crew worked in silence, engineers repairing circuits, gunners checking their targeting systems, medics treating the wounded. The ship looked alive again, though barely. "How's the reactor?" she asked. "Stable for now," Chief Engineer Miles replied. "We rerouted power through auxiliary lines. Shields are at 40%, weapons at 60. She'll fight, Captain, but she's bleeding." Torres nodded slowly. "So are we all, Miles, but we're still standing." She turned to the communications officer. "Any word from command?" "Nothing, ma'am. We're out of range. We're on our own." The captain exhaled. "Then that's how we'll finish it. Alone, but together." On the alien flagship, panic grew. Many of the younger officers whispered about retreat. Others suggested surrender, though none dared to speak it aloud. They had faced powerful enemies before, but never something like this. The humans fought like creatures of myth, like ghosts that refused to die. Kalor finally spoke. "Prepare the plasma cannons. If the Invictus comes closer, we end this with everything we have." His officers obeyed, though fear made their hands shake. Far away in the dark void between fleets, the Invictus powered up its engines again. The sound inside the hull was deep and heavy, like the slow heartbeat of a giant. Lights flickered on across its length, and energy flowed through its armor. Captain Torres stood tall at the command center. "Target the enemy flagship," she said quietly. "Let's finish what we started." The targeting screen locked onto the Valtor. A blue glow filled the human warship's forward guns. The alien sensors picked up the signal almost instantly, and the panic turned to chaos. "They're charging their main cannon," screamed an alien officer. Kalor shouted back, "Fire all weapons, now!" The blackness of space lit up. Plasma beams, rockets, and ion bursts tore across the distance between fleets. The Invictus was struck first, once, twice, then a dozen times. Fire danced along her hull. The crew held their positions, teeth gritted, eyes burning. "Hold steady," shouted Torres. "Target lock, confirmed. Main gun ready," yelled the weapons officer. "Fire!" A single beam of brilliant light exploded from the Invictus's cannon. It was not just energy, it was fury, courage, and defiance made real. The beam hit the Valtor head-on. For a moment there was silence. Then the alien flagship erupted in flames, breaking apart in a wave of light that spread through space. The alien formation broke. Ships scattered, some running for hyperspace, others drifting powerless. The Invictus did not chase. It simply floated there, victorious but scarred. Inside the human warship, the silence was heavy. Everyone stared at the fading glow on the screen. "We did it," whispered one young crewman. Torres closed her eyes. She wanted to smile, but she couldn't. "We survived," she said quietly, "but it's not over yet." Miles, the engineer, approached her. "Captain, we've lost half the ship. If more aliens are out there, we can't hold another fight." "I know," she said, "but they'll think twice before coming again." She looked at the stars, cold, endless, and silent. "We showed them what humans are made of." Light years away, in the central world of the alien dominion, the council met in panic. Their reports told of destruction, of a single human ship that destroyed an entire fleet. "This cannot be," shouted one of the counselors. "One ship cannot destroy the pride of our navy." "But it did," said another quietly. "The humans are not what we believed. Their technology is crude, their weapons outdated, yet they fight like they cannot die." The council chamber fell silent. Finally, the prime speaker rose. "Then perhaps we should not fight them at all." But others disagreed. "No," said Kalor's successor, a young admiral filled with pride and vengeance. "We will rebuild. We will find this Invictus again. And next time we will not fail." The council murmured, uncertain. But even the bravest of them could not shake the image of that human ship, the silent beast that walked through their fire and came out stronger. Back aboard the Invictus, Captain Torres walked through the corridors. Crew members saluted her quietly, some with bandages on their arms, others covered in oil and dust. They looked tired but proud. She stopped by the window again, gazing at the wreckage of the alien fleet. "They'll come back," she said softly. "Yes," replied Commander Reed. "And when they do?" Torres smiled faintly. "Then they'll remember us. Not because of what we destroyed, but because we never stopped fighting." She placed a hand on the cold glass, watching a distant sun rise over the alien debris. "Humans don't bow. Not to gods, not to empires, not to anyone." Reed nodded. "Then let's show them again, when the time comes." As the Invictus turned away, its engines ignited once more, leaving a glowing trail across the stars. The damaged but undefeated warship vanished into hyperspace, carrying the story of its battle, a story that would spread across galaxies. Among alien worlds, the legend would be told in whispers. The day the humans came. The day one ship stood against many. The day the aliens saw their worst nightmare, and it had a human face. The galaxy was never the same after the battle in the Erebos sector. News of a single human warship destroying hundreds of enemy vessels spread faster than light. Traders, explorers, and even warlords whispered the name with awe, the Nemesis. On distant worlds, alien civilizations debated the meaning of the humans' return. Some feared them. Others wanted to ally with them. Across star systems, fleets were recalled, armies disbanded, and treaties renegotiated. All because one species had reminded the galaxy that power did not belong to empires alone. Inside the Nemesis, Captain Adrienne Holt walked across the bridge, her boots echoing softly on the metal floor. The crew was exhausted, but they were alive, and the ship still floated among the stars, a symbol of human resilience. Lieutenant Samir Klein approached her, holding a tablet filled with incoming transmissions. "Captain, we've received reports from neighboring sectors. The alien fleets are retreating. They're sending messages to one another. They're terrified. Entire governments are asking for negotiations." Holt's eyes softened. "We didn't fight to frighten them. We fought to protect life and show that humans are back in the galaxy." Chief Engineer Miles nodded. "We did that, but at a cost. The ship is damaged and the crew has been through hell." Holt placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We knew the risk. That's why we trained, and that's why we survived. Humanity never abandons those who fight beside us." The crew looked out at the distant stars. Their journey had begun quietly, but it had ended in legend. And yet Holt knew it was only the beginning. Far across the galaxy, the Zerath Dominion was in disarray. Commanders argued, fleets scrambled, and fear spread among every species they had once dominated. Admiral Kalor watched reports with a grim expression. "This cannot be allowed to continue," he said. "A single ship has humiliated us. Entire systems now hesitate to follow our orders. We must rebuild, stronger than before, and we must understand these humans." His officers nodded, but even they could not hide the unease in their voices. "Sir, their technology, it's beyond comprehension. And their strategy, It's unpredictable. Even now they could strike again and we would not see it coming. Kalor clenched his claws. Then we prepare, and when the humans return, we will meet them and survive. Even as he spoke, a part of him knew the truth. The Nemesis had changed the rules of the galaxy. Empires could no longer act with impunity. Humans had returned, and they were unlike anything anyone had expected. On a distant planet far from the battle, a small group of alien scholars gathered to discuss the reports. Among them was Zira, a historian known for her studies of extinct species. "They are humans," she whispered, her voice trembling with awe. Legends spoke of their strength, but none believed it possible. One ship, yet it destroyed hundreds. One mind, yet it controlled the battlefield. And yet they do not kill unnecessarily. They do not conquer without purpose. They are different. Her companion Rathal shook his head. Different? They are terrifying. They could dominate the galaxy if they wished. They could destroy us all. Zira's eyes met his, and yet they do not. They fight for life. They fight for what is right. That is why we must respect them. That is why we must learn from them. Across the galaxy, the story of the Nemesis became more than a legend. It became a lesson. Power combined with intelligence, courage, and compassion is unstoppable. Back on the Nemesis, Captain Holt reviewed the star charts. Their mission had been simple: observe, warn, and protect. But in doing so, they had shifted the balance of power in the galaxy. Humans were no longer hidden, no longer isolated. They had returned to a universe that had forgotten them. Lieutenant Klein spoke quietly. "Captain, what now? Do we go home? Or do we stay out here in case they return?" Holt smiled, a calm and steady light in the dim bridge. "We do both. We return home when we can, but we remain vigilant. Humanity's duty is not just to survive. It is to guide, protect, and inspire. And sometimes that requires being seen, even if it frightens others." The crew nodded silently. They understood. They had survived impossible odds, faced fear, and emerged victorious, not for conquest, but for honor and duty. Across countless star systems, rumors began to form into stories. Children told tales of the human warship that walked through fire unburned, of the crew that never gave up, and of the captain whose calm eyes could strike terror into the proudest warriors. Some of the alien empires began preparing differently. Instead of seeking domination, they began building alliances, investing in diplomacy, and remembering the lessons of restraint. The galaxy for the first time in centuries felt the stirrings of hope alongside fear. Even among the Zerath, whispers spread. Fear the human warship. Respect those who wield it. For where they appear, even the strongest fleets hesitate. In the quiet of space, the Nemesis moved forward, leaving behind the ruins of the Erebos sector. Its engines glowed softly against the darkness, leaving a trail of blue light that stretched across light years. Captain Holt stood at the observation window. She felt the weight of the galaxy pressing on her shoulders, yet she did not tremble. She had seen fear. She had seen courage. And she had seen the power of humans when they fought for what they believed in. "Set course for Earth," she said, her voice calm. "We have much to report and much to prepare. Humanity has returned. The galaxy will remember us." Lieutenant Klein glanced at her. "And if they come back?" Holt's eyes softened, filled with quiet resolve. "Then we will meet them as we always have. Together, unafraid and unstoppable." The crew fell silent, each lost in thought, each feeling the pride of their species. The Nemesis was more than a warship. It was a symbol, a warning and a promise. It carried the legacy of humans across the stars, teaching the galaxy a lesson that would not soon be forgotten. Humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans rise. And when humanity returns, the universe listens. Far across the alien empires, a single message began appearing in comm signals, written in every language and every dialect. The humans are here. We watch, we protect, we remember, choose peace. And in that message there was both warning and hope, fear for those who would harm, and reassurance for those who acted with honor. The galaxy had met its match, and it was not a conqueror, it was humanity. As the stars stretched endlessly before the Nemesis, Captain Holt looked toward the distant blue dot they all called home. Earth, safe, hidden, yet ready. The galaxy would never forget the day the humans returned. The galaxy would never forget the ship that stood alone against an empire. And above all, The galaxy would never forget the truth. If humanity has returned, no empire can rule without respect, no threat can stand without fear, and no victory can last without courage. The legend of the Nemesis spread across countless systems. It was whispered in every corner of space, and for the first time in a long time the stars felt alive with the promise of hope, courage, and a species that would always rise above.